All right, my name is Marie Welsch. I'm at the International Quilt Festival in Houston, Texas in 2014, and I'm excited to bring you one more of my little quilts. And this quilt started its life as a t-shirt. I painted it in a class probably 15 years ago. I wore it and wore it and wore it until it completely wore out and decided, I want this design. It is still good, it's still beautiful. So I stabilized it, stuck it in this little quilt, and did lots and lots of free motion sewing around it with one of those clear monofilament threads. I did an extra layer of batting through the flowers and leaves so they would be a little trapuntoed. And then I spent a year looking for fabric to go around it. So I eventually found the first border, and then I was at Goodwill one day and I found the second border, which is that fake moleskin stuff that you have on a men's shirt. And then I added a couple of other borders. And so this is a very long-term project for me, and I completed it in June of 2013. And I'm very, very happy with how it turned out, because this is one of my, this is probably my third original quilt that I did. The others were pieced quilts, but this one was a chance to show off my painting skills and the fact that I love to paint and will continue to do lots of these t-shirts into quilts, because I have like 30 of them. So I have enough to do to keep me busy for a long time. But this was my first one, and it was a great experiment, and it was nice to see that the pieces could come out. I'm using cotton batting in it. I have a batik back, and I'm very pleased with just pretty much most of what I did. I know that some people say if you start quilting this tight in the middle, you should quilt that tight everywhere, but I feel like this frames it so well and gives you the contrast and texture that people just have to live with the fact that I did not quilt all the outside borders. And it is it's a beautiful design. I love this design. I loved it the first time I saw it, and it was one of those classes where my favorite teacher, Roberta King, was teaching it, and I just had to do it. And then I wore it quite proudly every so often, and I washed it. This thing's been washed at least 50 times. And so this dye is holding up. It's a fabric dye by Delta, and it's a really good little fabric dye. They don't have it out as much. It's harder to find these days, but I have enough of it to paint probably another 100 shirts. So I'm not real worried about it. And I want to paint quilts, and so it's all quite fun. And this is quilting something that I painted for me ended up being an upcycled, that's the name of this, upcycled or recycled sunflowers. And so having a great name for it and knowing that I recycled a men's shirt in it and recycled my t-shirt in it makes it a really fun quilt. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.